All right, do you want to do the honorary clap into the microphone so I can line up the video and audio?
Yeah.
All right. Troy, welcome to the flip side.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy that you're here. So, today, I'm really excited because we're going to be talking about something I think has permeated my gymnastics career quite heavily, and you kind of have the complete opposite experience up until a point. And I want to talk about that.
Sure.
So, today, we'll be talking about fear, as we've discussed.
Yep.
And you have a really interesting take on fear. So I just want you to talk me through what your experience of fear in the sport is so far.
Yeah, okay. So hi everyone, I'm Troy. I'm a trampolinist.
Yeah.
And I've been doing so for about 12 years. Been in gymnastics about 15 years. And when Carla asked me what I wanted to talk about today, I said I really didn't know, but we kind of landed on fear. And I think what you were talking about in one of your other episodes was when you're younger, you don't have really a lot of fear because you haven't developed, your amygdala as much. So there's some people that have a natural level of fear when they're younger, just kind of the trait inside them. Mm-hmm. And then if you're in a sport such as ours, which is quite somewhat extreme, then fear plays a big part in that, of course. Mm-hmm. And the level of fear that you feel, I guess, changes. And what I've learned is that it changes as you get older and as your brain develops more. And as we know, for males, your brain doesn't finish developing until you're 24.
Yeah, it's a little bit delayed, if you will.
So I've actually seen that in myself.
Yeah, okay.
So when I was younger, I didn't have really any acknowledgement of fear. Like, you talk about fear of heights. I loved climbing trees when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like, the big coastal pines, they were my favorite. Super big, super easy to climb. You get all the way to the top.
But very tall. Yeah.
Which is what I loved. And I guess as I got a bit older, I would look down and you'd get that, little feeling.
Yeah.
But, I knew I was okay, so it wouldn't really affect me.
Yeah.
But really, when I was younger and used to climb things, that never even occurred to me.
You don't even have a memory of
that? I don't have a recollection of it,
Yeah.
which means that it wasn't something that had occurred. That's the way to tell.
Yeah.
So then I do have recollections of looking down when I'm clinging onto something going, oh, this could, obviously if I let go, this would be bad, but I knew I was fine.
You didn't have that.
No. And then in the sport, I never really had fear so much. I think the good tell is when I can think to a skill that I tried for the first time that I started to feel more anxious. Mm-hmm. And I guess that was shown through more physiological symptoms, start to shake a little bit, your heart starts beating more. And that's really only when I started doing maybe triple somersaults.
Yeah, okay.
So
which is not really that long ago, in your history of the sport, right? It's quite a short amount of time.
Yeah. So I guess those little things started coming in, but I almost liked that feeling, and I still like that feeling because I like overcoming fears.
Yes.
I've learned that about myself. So when I get that feeling, I try as much as I can to not fight against it, but to just go through the motions of what I'm doing, and then you feel better. Everyone knows that feeling of once you've done something scary, you're like, you can relax.
Biggest sigh of relief.
And that feels good.
Yes.
And to me, I like that because it also tells me I've almost conquered that fear or taken a step towards doing that.
Yes.
And another thing that goes on fear is we've done a lot of goal setting and attributes, strengths and weaknesses throughout my career. And someone says, what's your biggest strength? And I never really know what to say because we have heaps of strengths and weaknesses, but I tend to say fearlessness because that's something that I guess people have said about me.
And you internalize that as oh yeah, I am.
Yeah, I guess that's my strength. And so my strength is fearlessness.
Okay.
So one of the other athletes used to joke, Troy, your prefrontal cortex hasn't fully developed. You just do stuff. You just do skills or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was I guess I'm just fearless in a way. And as I've gotten older and I guess matured as an athlete, and I've found that I'm not so much fearless anymore. It's more like I do get scared on things, and this is really only in the last year that I feel myself more state anxiety in a situation when I'm gonna, say, run for a new skill at the double mini or on tramp, but mostly on mini.
Can I ask you something while you're there? When you said before that when you notice fear, it's like the shakiness, the heart racing. Is there any internal dialogue happening that's about the fear, around the fear, anything you're saying to yourself, or is it more the physiological symptoms you're noticing?
No, not really. Just the physiological symptoms. I've talked about this a bit with a sports psychologist that I see, which has been really helpful. Mental toolkit, all these strategies during training, during comp. And it's almost something that creeps up on me, so I don't even realize it's happening.
Yeah, it's like, fear.
Like, as I'm almost about to run, it exponentially increases. So, like, going for something new or something scary, and then it's all of a sudden like, oh my gosh, like my heart is beating like really fast, and if I look at my hand, it will be shaking. Like at comp, I use that very, very easy test. I'll just look at my hand and hold it still and see how much it's shaking. Yeah. That just tells me my level of, I guess, anxiety / stress at that point.
That's interesting. Do you use that for any purpose, or is it more like a check-in?
It's just a check-in, just to see how I'm going, basically.
What's your approach if you're like, okay, it's pretty like heavy on the...
Yeah, I'll use the strategies that I've learned through sports psychology to bring that level down and like bring my arousal levels down, which have been box breathing. That's one.
Really, I love box breathing. Do you do 4s?
Yeah. Yep. And that's really helpful for heart rate, one I've felt, and like ventilation rate. So for those who don't know, it is breathing in deeply for 4 seconds, holding for 4, then exhaling for 4, and then holding for 4 at the bottom, which I find really hard. I exhale, you have no oxygen, and then you have to hold it and be like, you know.
It can be hard,
but more on the exhale, so sometimes I even go to 5 or 6 on the exhale. That's trying to get as much out, and that's your like, you can feel yourself almost sometimes releasing.
Yes.
Like actually getting more relaxed.
Definitely. I think box breathing is a really good point. Like, I'm glad you described it, because actually it came from the military. That's who like originally tested it and developed it for high pressure situations, which I think is really cool, because that is the highest pressure situation is life and death. Yeah. And so they noticed that worked really well. And something else interesting that you said is that longer exhales, which is actually part of a way to turn on your parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest. So the longer your exhale, the slower your heart rate will be. And you said that's something you noticed specifically. So can see already that you're someone that's very in tune with what's happening inside you, even with maybe not knowing those extra bits that are already in science, you know? Okay.
Another thing that I use, not so much because it's almost like the step after, if I feel like I have to do it more, is something around 4 things I can see. You just name 4 things you can see in that state, and then 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste, or you can use feel as well, and just go down the senses. But that's more bringing yourself into the moment. I feel like I would only use that if I'm really, really heightened. And,
definitely.
More almost not in control. And I've only really felt that once in a competition ever.
Do you want to share the memories that are right with you?
Yeah, that's fine. It wasn't even a big competition. It was Victorian State Championships last year.
Oh my God, why was that? For me as well. That was a big one. I was just like,
So... I guess we went down as a team for experience, but for me it was about qualifications to World Games, which is the pinnacle event for my apparatus within trampoline. So like a big deal to me.
Definitely.
And it was one of the qualifications. It wasn't the last one, but it was one of them. I was getting towards the end. I'd been sick overseas in Italy, so I wasn't able to perform.
Can I tell a side funny story?
Of course you can.
So when Troy skimmed over being sick in Italy, we all went in the beach for recovery because the water was
very
quite
cold.
Yeah, because it was
like
April in Italy, up north pretty far. And so Troy was one of the few that really wanted to swim out quite far, maybe over to Croatia. And so this water was really dirty. It was super, super dirty. And Troy's just like an all-in kind of guy. way I can describe you, especially in
Yeah,
this
I guess
moment.
so. Yeah, I was all in there. I was like, why? You guys are just standing there like, oh my gosh. And I'm swimming in this stuff.
Yeah, so I can see like water coming out of Troy's mouth and nose, like it's all.
As
all
you swim,
happening.
that's what normally happens.
And I can only put this type of sickness down to Troy drinking the dirty ocean water.
Yeah, not intentionally, but
Not
that's what we
intentionally.
pinpointed it to, because everyone had ate the same and all that stuff.
Which we laugh now, but you were actually really sick and it was really terrible.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
gastro for over the duration of the comp. It was not good.
It was terrible.
Yep.
But we learn lessons from these things.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Yep, so I'd missed out on that. I had about 2 chances left to qualify, and I just remember right before my first run of the competition, very small competition as well. It wasn't that many spectators or big arena or anything, and the one thing I felt was heart rate, and the heart rate was just pounding on my chest. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is, I don't know what to do about this.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and then there's 2 people left, there's 1 people left, and I'm like, oh. Like, I have to, go now. I have to compete. I have to perform. And I'm, way too aroused. Arousal levels. And during those last, 4 people running before, I tried what I'd known before, which is the other previous strategy that I used before seeing a performance psychologist, was going to a place that is really calming. Mm-hmm. This is what one of my previous coaches, Jesse Tulip, did with us as athletes. We just find a place in our mind that is really, really calming. It could be a scene, it could be an empty box, and I think it's really important that no one else is there. It's just yourself, and then you just be present in that moment, and you can kind of try to visualize what you can hear and what you can see, smell, and that just brings you out of the moment. It's even more than the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because you're going into your mind. Close your eyes.
Yeah.
Almost like meditation.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing that, and it wasn't helping.
Yeah. And it had worked other times for you to feel more
Yeah,
calm.
I haven't had to use it that much, but yeah, I just had to get up and run, and I was like, okay. And I even I was running up to the apparatus, and I went to start my skills, and I even felt like I almost tripped in the hurdle, and the first skill didn't go to plan, and I had to pull out of it, and it didn't go so well. The second pass was all right, but yeah, that was really the first time where I was like, oh, my anxiety got in the way of the competition. That had not really happened that much before. And then that's when I was able to speak to that with someone, and now we have strategies for it.
Yes. I think a good thing to highlight there is the strategy that Jesse taught you is such a useful strategy, but it is time consuming also, and in that moment you didn't have that time. It was it's happening right now. I got it. And that's the great thing about breathing. It really doesn't take that much time or that much energy to go inwards and do all that stuff, which can be useful for other things at other times for sure. Visualization is a great tool. But yeah, breathing and things like that, they would have been super useful at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, really from then on, and a little bit around that era, that's where I was starting to feel fear more before I go for big skills.
Yeah.
Normally on the double mini trampoline, kind of started with full and triple tuck, for those who are aware.
To everyone else, it sounded like perfect swimmer.
And what I found is I had to switch my mindset, is what we spoke about before. From, I think my strength was fearlessness. Now I am feeling fear. Now I have to be brave.
Yeah.
So it went from fearlessness as a strength to bravery, and I feel like I'm getting better at that. Still feel, I guess, scared, anxious at certain times, but really sitting in that and working through it, at the time, focusing on what I need to do to make the skill good or safe.
Yeah. So you're thinking more about technical points rather than how you feel about it in that moment?
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing for myself, I don't know if this works for everyone, but even when I didn't feel scared so much, I would almost start the skill. Let's say it was on trampoline. I would start the beginning of the skill without thinking too much at all, because I knew how to do a backwards rotation with a twist. Then think of what I have to do in the moment. Because for me, if I thought too much about all the corrections, the points during a complex skill, then it'd be too much. So I'd start it without really anything in my brain, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. You're like, well, we're just going to go for it and hope it happens. But then your body knows kind of what to do already. It can pull on other things that it's done before, and then in that moment you think of the main correction or the main point that you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, and I think that probably you're at that stage with multiple skills that is like very autonomous, that it's not, you don't actually have to put that thought in, and in most cases you shouldn't really have to put that thought in. So you're at that point where you don't really have to think about what you're doing in the skill. But I think from my experience, when you're scared, it almost feels like, am I going to forget what to do? Like this weird feeling, am I going to forget what to do? And I don't know how else that I've changed that other than like what you said is thinking about how you're going to initiate. That helps me a lot.
Okay, yeah.
Of like, what's the step that I'm going to start the skill, and then it will happen. So then I go into that autonomous mode. But because the fear is like clouding, do I know how to do this? It's like, okay, I know what the first thing is. So something, for example, like half-out pike, when I had a bit of a block on that, it was like, okay, grab your legs. Like literally grab your legs. Like keep them straight and grab your legs. And I was like, oh, okay. Yep. My body knows how to do the rest. It's fine. So yeah, I noticed that.
Yours is the opposite. Yeah, start the skill and my body knows how to do.
Yeah. Oh, I totally remember how to do this. Yeah, but yours was like the start of the skill. Just if I take off, it should happen.
I think that one might be used more for new skills that you're learning. I think your strategy I have employed for when you come back after a break and your body, your nervous system, your neural pathways of the skills that you do are a bit rusty and you haven't accessed them in 2-3 weeks. So one of the things I use when trying to get back into training, and normally a lot of people would do all their skills as they're coming back and just trying to go through them all, is to just think about how to start it, and your brain knows how to do the rest.
Yeah.
So, and that's another time that people may feel really anxious or scared to do something, especially if it's a big skill and that they haven't done in a while, but they know how to do it and they do have the reps behind them to know how to do it. That's probably the main one. Your brain has the ability to remember what that neural pathway is.
Yeah.
So if you start it, your brain will almost take over, and that's what a lot of people will feel. But if you go to start it and don't go, then your brain doesn't know where to start from, and nothing will happen. And I think a lot of people get stuck in that loop.
Yeah, and it definitely can be super hard when you're scared to like just take that leap of faith. And that's something like Coach Belinda has talked to me about a lot. It's like sometimes it really is just a leap of faith. Like you need to, and that sounds insane when you're a couple meters in the air and like taking a leap of faith in what is my body going to do after
let's chuck
this?
ourselves and hope it will be okay. But I wouldn't really recommend that if you haven't done the
reps
skill.
Behind it. Or it's the first time.
Reps is king. So once you have that and you're at that stage, then I think that's the leap of faith, and that's where you have to be brave.
Yes.
I've always thought that I used to think that fear has no place in this sport. That's what I used to think when I was younger. I'd watch people who were scared and didn't even go for the skill or stop halfway through and go, that's not what we can do here. Like that's fear does not have a place in the sport at all. But I think it's the reframing again, because from someone who didn't feel it to, if you're not willing to take that step and if you're not brave enough, then it's going to be really hard.
Yeah.
So
can vouch for that.
Yeah. So you got to be brave. Like bravery has to have a place in the sport. I think that's what I'm going to reframe it to.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. It is that very much, because I don't think, like you said, at a point when you get old enough that like fear does become more apparent, you have to work with it. You can't just ignore it. It doesn't let you. It doesn't let you ignore it. So you have to start to work with it, and reframing to bravery is such a good way to put it. And that's actually another thing. Belinda only said it to me yesterday. It's funny that you said it that way. Belinda only said it to me yesterday, and Tom was talking to me about it. So these are both coaches of ours. That like you can feel a certain way, but you can still be brave. And bravery, I think, just like feeling ready, is a choice. It's not like, oh, I feel brave enough to do it today. It's like, no, I'm going to make the choice to be brave here when I'm feeling fear.
Yeah.
Would you agree? It's less of a feeling and more of a choice.
Yeah, I think that ties into something I actually heard Will Smith say.
Yeah,
Will Smith quote. I don't know whether it was his quote or not, but...
If you're listening, Will Smith, no, I'm kidding.
He said, if you can't beat the fear, just do it scared.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting, but yeah, if you're trying to do something new, doesn't have to be within trampolining itself. If you just really can't let go and be ready, and you still want to do it, you just got to do it scared. You don't have any other choice.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you have the choice of not doing it, and then that's the only thing you can do.
Yeah, and then you don't, I
it's
guess...
like, yeah, you want to do it, and you don't do it, or you want to do it, and you do it scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're in a safe environment and you're finding it really hard to feel calm, that's where you got to take that leap of faith, and that choice to go, oh yeah, I'm just going to do it now because I have enough things around that I'm going to be okay.
Yeah, yeah. And there is always the risk.
Yeah.
There's always a risk in a leap of faith. That's why it's a leap of faith. Yeah, there's always risk. And like you said, there's multiple things that we do to mitigate that risk enough so that you can choose to either do it or not do it.
One of the things that I use to help mitigate risk is if I find myself in the air, very specific to this sport, and I am like, that did not go to plan, or we're not going to actually get to the end of the skill without landing our face, my body has the very good ability of landing in a safe place, which is normally on my back. And sometimes it happens not really with my own decision. I might pull out of a skill and land on my back in a safe way, and I'm almost thankful that my body has that ability, because that's almost like the reassurance. I can take the leap of faith, and if it doesn't fully go, obviously I want to do what I set out in the skill, but I have the safe landing
option
on my back if I'm good.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I do want to talk to you a little bit about that whole skill of yours after, definitely.
Yep.
Because it's very cool. So sometimes you're choosing it and sometimes you're not.
Yes.
Sometimes your body's just taking over and going, we're not going to make it to the end, bang. Like you're not even thinking that, it's just happening.
No, it happened without me even meaning to, really.
Yeah.
Which is, on one hand, not the best, but also helpful in times.
No, but also like that insurance, like you said.
Yeah.
It's like that little bit of insurance. It's like, oh, if I take the leap of faith, I do know that I know where I am in space. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So there was something else I wanted to talk about that I think would be really awesome to unpack, which is you have such a natural, I think, want for detailed understanding of what you're doing and all of the parameters of it. And I think potentially it's one way that the fearlessness / bravery, as it's evolved, has been a part of who you are and how you do what you do, and probably not just in sport but also in life, because I know you're a very detail oriented kind of person. And would I be right in saying that you enjoy knowing the rules of things?
Yeah, well, like, what are the parameters? Even if it's just a fun game. What can or can't I do?
Yeah.
And then, so what can I push?
Is there a loophole?
The boundaries.
Yeah. So with that, with the knowing of it, do you think that it's made you, or it's helped in that aerial awareness or that knowing where I am? Is like, I understand these skills in such depth that it's almost like integrated itself into your brain to a point where all of the pieces are so clear that coming out of it is like, again, not a choice, but you've built that awareness.
That's interesting. I think in the moment when it happens, it's just, I guess, an inherent thing. Because it's so fast, I don't think my brain has any time to call upon anything.
Yeah, you're not processing it consciously.
The thing that I will say is that the more knowledge you have, the better you can be at understanding the better person you'll be really in any area of a skill. But the knowledge that you have is only really useful if you can really practice it.
Yeah.
It's what I think what I was speaking to you about the other day, where I said it's interesting that you can have so much knowledge, so much technical knowledge of a sport or a thing.
Yeah.
But if you can't put that into play, then it's when it comes down to it during competition, it's really not going to push you that much at that time.
Yes.
So I use the example of you have one person that is very, very knowledgeable, one person that is less knowledgeable, but if they perform the same in a competition, then in the end, it didn't really matter.
At the end of the day, who cares? Yeah.
But if you have the knowledge, then you have the ability to then learn and build on those skills that might be not so easy for you.
Yeah.
So for me, I've had a lot of struggles with the takeoff of skills and my overall technique.
Mm-hmm.
But a step towards getting that better or improving that is to understand all the little tiny intricacies of that to then try to build upon it. And if you don't know that, then you can't really improve at an increased rate, I feel, without someone else providing it for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's two parts of that. Part one is that if you work that way, absolutely that will be the avenue for you to continue to improve and improve at a faster rate. The other part of that is some people, I think, with small external cues can get the same result, which is maybe what you're talking about with the discrepancy between like someone that could know so much and someone that could know absolutely nothing and still execute the same skill and potentially at the same technical level.
Yeah.
So I think knowing the stuff behind it, like maybe we can talk a little bit about what could be the advantage of it in the person that it helps and in the person that they fixed it anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my thoughts at first are the person that fixed it anyway. I think, do I think that? This is hard. It's actually hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a hard problem.
Yeah, it's really intricate.
Yeah, it's a hard problem. Do you have any initial thoughts?
I think at the very top level, the very end level of really any sport or pathway, that really those tiny little things, it comes down to biomechanics within our sport. I've recently learned, I guess, a lot more about that during coaching course. When you understand those little things about how to create force, movement, you can really home into all the little bits that you can utilize to generate the power.
Yeah.
That you may not have thought of before.
Yeah.
But it is interesting that your body has the inherent ability to do the things. Your body is even better at biomechanics than your brain is because it does all of them without even thinking about it.
Yeah, that's right.
So at the very top end, I feel like you can actually utilize all that knowledge. Yeah. But
I agree.
for the vast majority of everyone, it can just be that little cue that your coach gives, and it doesn't matter whether it's more than that or not.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's a tough one. It is, I think, what you said at the top end, that's when it ends up mattering. But that could be any amount of things, any amount of knowledge, and now that you say it, what I'm thinking is, in big endeavors, if you collect as much knowledge as you can, you're more likely to have insights.
Yeah.
I think it's that. Maybe is like the key, is you're more likely to have insights because you have more knowledge for your brain to like background run and pop out the insight, basically.
It's like knowledge is power. We hear that a lot.
Yeah.
And it's more like not if you're more knowledgeable, then you'll be better. It's you have the power. You have the ability to.
Yeah.
And I think, opposed to someone who doesn't have as much. Yeah.
It's super true. I think it rings very true for people in any type of cycle. Mostly a cycle break comes from like a very big event or gaining new knowledge that's outside of what they thought their current reality was. So that is all education and like knowing new things, and then eventually it turns into an action. And so I think, yeah, if we can translate it to life, that's how I would translate it to life. Is like collecting knowledge gives you insights, or the potential to have.
One of the things that I just thought of then when you're talking about a cycle,
Yeah.
very common in our sport is skill confusion. Other people might call it skill blocks.
Yeah.
And that's when your body is confused about what it's doing in the air and normally ends in a bad landing or injury or something that you weren't supposed to do.
Or just being very frightened, even if you land safely.
Yeah.
You don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the interesting things is I've never really experienced skill confusion that much. Not never, but really that much throughout my whole trampoline career. I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
There was like a little bit when I was younger, and it did make me really afraid. And I think that I thought back to that time when I would get confused or a little bit and not want to ever feel like that again. So I do as much as I can in that moment to overcome it, and I think that's where the bravery comes in. When something goes bad, immediately after, you obviously take a breath. I would almost force myself to try it again immediately, the correct
get
way,
back on the horse.
or take it a step back and do it the correct way
Yeah.
in a safe environment, but straight away. And on that second time, don't back out. And I never have. I never have backed out in that scenario.
Yeah.
So I guess to me, I've never let my brain win.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
to go down the confusion path, or what my brain would think is in the safe path is when it gets confused, is to take the harder path, or what it thinks is the harder path,
Yeah.
and do it correctly.
Yeah, yeah. And that's a great point. I think most coaches do ask that of you, that after something like that happens, that you do try it again.
Yeah.
But I think that it's always your choice ultimately, and I see a lot of people, including myself in the past, choosing to not. And it does create that story in your mind that is like the last one you did for that skill.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean by that? Like it leaves that as the end of the story for that day. And so then when you come back to it, it's like that's the last thing that happened on that skill. So that makes it really hard to get back to it and continue the momentum on whatever you were learning, or even if it was one you've mastered.
Yeah.
Makes it hard. But do you remember what skill that was for you?
As in when it first happened?
When you were younger?
Yep. So it was I went to do a Barani mount on double mini, and I did a Rudy tuck mount. I tucked and twisted an extra full, and it happened so fast I didn't even know what was happening. I'd kind of land on my hands and knees and be like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
Which is exact confusion right there. And I remember going into the bathrooms by myself and just being like almost like crying,
Just,
because
like, so
I'm like,
rattled.
I don't know what is happening. I don't know what to do. I think it's a really big thing for younger athletes, because they are so confused. They don't know what's happening. They're so scared. I can't really remember what happened,
How, yeah.
like how I got over it. But the other thing which is interesting is sometimes when something happens that's not supposed to, I think a lot of people will have experienced that, and not every time your coach will see and will force you to do it again. And I think that's where the little cracks can begin.
Yeah.
And if you don't talk about it, or you don't say it, which is really hard to just come out and say, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Like, it
Yeah.
may have looked like I meant to, but I didn't mean to do that.
Or even when it is the skill, I think this is another point on that. Even when it is the right skill and you got completely lost and you ended up on your feet somehow, it's like, I have no idea what happened there.
Yeah.
Like, that should be treated in the same way, I think, as what you're talking about, when
Yeah.
you do completely the wrong thing and then you're like, what the heck?
Yeah. Sometimes what was easier for me, a lot of this would happen when I'm coming back to the sport, like after a break, was to actually just take a step back and just almost leave it for a few days or until the next session, which is interesting because you said that you wouldn't like to leave it where it is. But for me, leaving it, because I know I can do it.
Yeah.
It's just at this time, if I try to play around with it, I might even get more confused. So I just leave it. And that's just for the small ones, not the big. If it's a big incident, then I'm like, okay, we have to deal with this right now. But if it's just a small little tweak, I'm like, all right, brain, stop being silly.
I
Just
agree.
get out of here.
I totally agree with that. And I had that experience just only recently where, like, just the phasing of the twist was off, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. But then Tom was like, okay, do another one. And I was like, I can feel that it's just going to be the same. Like, I've lost the sense of, like, what this should feel like. And so he was like, okay, go back to a drill. And I think that, again, is another approach that's super useful, because I didn't feel super worried, like, oh, I'm never going to be able to do this again. This is so bad. That is important, because whatever your brain, whatever story you run is what it will be. Like, your words in your head are so powerful that if you're going to make it a block, it's going to be a block. If you're going to make it a confusion, it's going to be a confusion. If you're going to let it be a one-off incident, then it's more likely to be that.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I guess it goes on the self-talk and reframing, which what I've heard you talk about a lot, which is, I guess, really powerful.
Yeah, I think so. And it's not something that's been super easy to change at all, because you don't even know when you start running these stories when you're younger. You have no idea. You're just living. It just happens, and you're like, okay, well, I guess for me, for example, it wasn't actually a skill, which was the weirdest thing. It was the transition between the skills. So it was like double mini, for example, and I think most of the listeners know what double mini is now. So when you run up to the tramp, you do your first skill on. It was the moment after I finished that first skill.
Yeah.
It was like scared to go for the next skill. If you asked me to do that, the next skill off a simpler mount, no probs, easy.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me. It's that transition. And I still struggle with that a bit now. Like, it takes me some time to, if I've had a break or time off, to like get those transitions back. Yeah. But bravery. We'll keep doing it.
Yeah.
Keep moving through it. Yeah. I think at the start as well, I kind of want to circle back, if you will, to the anxiety and working through anxiety. Just for life, because I think our sport is such a good training ground for life, because you can feel times when you are so heightened, so very heightened, like what you experienced. And things that you described, I think, are things that you can do in any walk of life, in any anxiety, what's the word I'm looking for?
Anxiety-inducing
experience. Event, perfect. Yeah. Yeah, I think you can use them in any. So I just want to touch on the tools being like the breathing and the presence being the two that are really important, and then taking the step anyway. I think that's really like an important thing to kind of round out here, where between the skill confusion and the scary competitions and scary skills, anxiety will happen. It will be there. It will absolutely be there.
Yeah.
Like, you can count on it. At some point in your life, you're going to feel that state anxiety, or not state, trait as well. That can happen.
Yeah.
And so what are the tools I can use here? And again, back to the education. The more education you have, the more likely you are to have an insight of how you can get yourself out of that loop. If that's something you've experienced, you haven't been able to push through and do the next thing that you're afraid of, or deal with the thing that you're afraid of and subdue it, then educate yourself about it. Educate yourself about the tools, find the tools. And then next stage is do it.
I think that's what you've done yourself recently. I guess it's part of this whole journey over the last, 2 years, 18 months. Some of the stuff you've said, I'm like, wow, she's really gone into this. Like, you've read literature, or you've listened to seminars, talks. I'm like, wow, that's really respectable. Thank
you, I appreciate that. But it did help me get out of the loop. Like, I didn't know what to do, and I didn't have any answers, and no one around me that I drew on at the time. I'm sure there were people and resources, but no one that I drew on at the time when I was going through the stuff had a solution that was working for me.
Yeah.
And especially in the sport, it was just like, the main solution was just do it. Just go for it. It's like, awesome. That sounds so good. If I was in the frame of mind that would allow my body to do that. But I just wasn't there.
Yeah. So, you didn't have the things to fall back on. No. You just tried to do it almost blindly, I guess?
Almost. Yeah. I was closing my eyes in skills. I was so afraid.
There we go.
Yeah, quite literally blindly. So, yeah, there was so many parts that, and it was of no one's fault, that got dismissed as I kept going through the sport. was like, oh, but you can do it anyway, so don't worry about it. And for me, that was true as well. I can do it anyway, so don't worry about it. I can do it on comp day, so who cares? Like, I'm doing the things. But actually, you spend however many hours in the gym. That is the most unenjoyable time if you're living on the do it anyway at comp situation. It's the worst. It's so bad. And so by the time I got to comp, it was just like so not even adrenaline, it was cortisol driven. It wasn't like adrenaline, like I'm excited to be here, this is awesome, like show my stuff. I wish I had that comp experience going through. So it was like a super, super stressful experience rather than I want to show what I've been working on at comp experience. So yeah, I really didn't like that, and I'm glad I've been able to have multiple comps now where I'm like, this is fun. And then like training sessions where I'm like, this is fun. And I always loved the sport, but I didn't enjoy it for a really long time.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you
Thanks
you
so
do.
Much. Me too.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay. So part 3 of this, I guess. Part 3 is, you said that as a child you didn't feel much fear, but I think a lot of people have that experience. Yeah. So as kids, like you said, your prefrontal cortex not all the way there, amygdala not super firing. It's just you're just jumping off stuff and whatever. Like you said, there are more kids that are that way, slightly more inclined, more kids that are slightly more fearful. They've shown a lot in the research that that's definitely based on parental influence of how they demonstrate what to be scared of. Have you seen, there's a video of kids like with snakes?
Yeah. Literally came up on my feed about a week ago.
Did it?
Yeah. But they put the snake down and the babies just start playing with it.
Yeah, the baby's like, oh, snake, how cool. Yeah, it's so funny. And the parents are like behind the thing like, God, my God. Yeah, which is so funny because it is so learned, and I've even seen it in like younger kids and babies now when the parent is like, oh, don't do that. And that whole response, babies are sponges for like mimicking.
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh, scary. Got it. Next time.
I will be scared.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think it's super awesome that you grew up in a house where falling through the sky wasn't really something to be afraid of.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell us a bit about your parents?
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
So my parents met in skydiving, and they did the sport of formation skydiving, which is a sport, if you're not aware of it, where you make cool patterns in the sky with 4, 8, 16 groups of people. And they did that for, I don't know, many years, 15 plus years. They were on Australian teams, they went to World Championships, World Cups. And yeah, that's something that was, I guess, big. That was their past. That's like their experience for the last 3 decades. My dad builds parachutes for a living. So it was always something in my household and in my family. Like when I was younger, it wasn't like, am I going to skydive? It's like, when? Like, when are we going to go? And
Your mum told me, tell us about your first one.
I first went myself when I was 11.
Yeah, you got like a special exemption or something, right?
Yeah, I know I think the law is 12 now, but my dad submitted a special form to the higher-ups about my connection with him, and they allowed it. My siblings were 13, and it was great. And if I'm being completely honest, I wasn't scared at all. And not to try to be like cocky or anything, but I didn't feel any apprehension at all.
Yeah.
It was fun. And I think it's because I was exposed to exactly what you said. This is being something that's normalized.
Yeah,
like my dad's done,
normal.
I don't know, 6,500 skydives.
Yeah, he said he stopped counting at that point.
Yeah,
and your mum over 2,000. Like,
yeah,
huge numbers.
So it's not something that was really something to be completely fearful. Of course, it is an extreme thing, and that's why we have all protocols. But it's almost something that I think, if it's something that is so widely done, like, why should I be that scared of it?
Yeah.
Of course, don't be like
flippant.
Oblivious.
Yeah.
But I mean, like driving a car, that can end terribly. We know that, but it's so widely done that everyone does it.
Yeah.
And I think that if you just see the thing that could be fearful in something, as easy as driving, that could hold you back, because it is something widely done, and we have parameters in place to try to make it as safe as possible.
Yeah, and there's far more success stories of landing safely than there are of not.
Yeah.
Far more. Yeah.
Yeah, there's risks in everything, every day.
Yeah.
But I do find it interesting because I would be more scared to bungee jump than jump out of a plane. I think a lot of people would switch that around in their brain. Mm-hmm. Like, would you agree or not?
I don't know. I've done 2 skydives. I haven't bungee jumped. I don't know. Maybe.
But for myself,
why is the fear more?
Yeah.
Is it just because?
Yeah, because it's not something
normal?
not something I'm familiar with. My dad used to say like, "Oh, you're tied by the legs," and like, what if it, we always think the what ifs, like in the scenario, like what if it snaps and yeah, all that stuff.
It's the same as like, what if your parachute doesn't open?
Yeah.
It's the same, but like, that's a perfect example of
like
he was like so comfortable with the skydiving stuff, and if he was a elite bungee jumper, he might have said the same thing about skydiving in the opposite way. So, yeah.
But it is crazy to hear. He'll tell stories of, if you're familiar with skydiving, you always have a reserve parachute at all times. And he's had to deploy the reserve a couple times, handful of times. Like,
that scares me.
I think that would be very scary. Because it's your last resort lifeline.
Yeah, there's not a third reserve.
No. But yeah, that's what I grew up in. My sister always used to joke and say, Troy would climb trees all the time, as we've spoken about. And other people would be like, oh my gosh, like, get him down, help him or whatever. And then my dad's response, instead of saying, like, don't do that, was, no, don't grab that branch. That's too thin, grab that one, it's thicker. You'll be fine that way.
That's so good.
I can't remember, but that must have been something that happened along those lines of that what she experienced.
Your sister remembers it
when she was younger.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so funny. It's such a good example of trying not to instill fear in your kids for sure, because it's so many, like, you see so many people, and it's not like no judgment on them or anything, because they're coming from their own backgrounds and whatever they've been brought up with. But it's like, you can choose the option of being like, do it a different way, like to keep the risk lower, rather than don't do it at all. Yeah. And that there's boundaries on that. All right, like, don't. If all the branches are thin, you're not going to be like, grab the slightly thicker one. No, it should be okay. It's like,
yeah.
There's boundaries on that, but I think it's such a cool approach. Very cool approach.
Yeah, I think the driving is a really good example, because I know people that have been really scared to start driving, and have waited many years. They put it off, and then they get inconvenienced. And if it's something in your life that the more that you run away from it, and if it's something that you're going to have to do, it's going to be worse for you. You have to think about the things that we put in place to make it safe, how widely this thing is used or done. Yeah. And then once you realize that, then you can start to move on with doing the task or the skill.
Yeah. That's definitely something I've thought about in depth, is like, the longer you avoid it, it doesn't make it less scary. Like, when you're like, I'll just wait and then I'll feel more ready. Yeah. It just doesn't exist. It doesn't happen like that. I don't have one example of where I've waited in the fear and felt better about doing it later. Yeah. Because you're running the story about how scared you are. I think it's
actually worse, because you're kind of like,
yeah, you build it up. Definitely.
I think that's so applicable to just conversations or hard things or public speaking. Have you ever been sitting in a time where you want to say something to someone? Could even be like being vulnerable with someone or a significant other, or like telling your crush how you feel about them, and you want to, and you're just waiting for the perfect moment. You're I'll just say it in a bit, just after like when there's a break in there, or like just after this, you know what I mean? And it just gets worse and worse, and then you might try it at the end of whatever scenario might be, and it wasn't very good. And if you just said it at the start, or if you say it more casually, then you'll probably find that it's better.
Yeah, or even not different.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
actually a better way to look at it.
Yeah.
There's no change in the outcome.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think that's a good point because, like, public speaking, for example, I started teaching at uni maybe 4 years ago, and the first time I taught in front of a small tutorial group, like 15 students, I remember my voice being like, so you... I was like a bit shaky on it, and it was scary, and I like did it anyway because I'm at work and I'm about to get paid and I got to do the thing that I said I'm going to do. You can't just like run away in that moment. And I think for most people where you've almost been pushed into it, but like partly by choice, obviously I took the job, but almost been pushed into it where you don't have a choice and you've got to deliver, then the next time's, okay, it's a bit easier again. It's like exposure therapy.
Yeah.
And if you think of hard things that way, like telling your crush you like them or whatever, whatever it might be, is like each time you do it, your brain's gonna just calm that little bit more and that little bit more, and then it feels like nothing. Like when I'm talking to a group of people now, it doesn't faze me, and I don't feel shaky, and I don't feel like that nervousness. It just feels like, hey guys, it's chill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really funny that you bring up the public speaking because that's just reminded me. I did a lot of public speaking when I was younger, in primary school, mostly. I went to competitions, district level, whatnot. Was never like super good, but I just entered stuff. And then in year 11, I was asked to MC at a performance, it was like a dance performance.
Yeah.
I knew one of the teachers knew me and just asked if I could do that, and I was like, oh yeah, it's fine. I've like stood on stage before and spoken. And the first time I walked out during that performance, I stood there and my legs were shaking in my pants. I was really
in my pants.
I was wearing like dress pants. I was really hoping no one could see, and they were just shaking like inside, and I had to like squeeze really hard for it not to shake.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had to go through the lines of what I had to say, but I found that really interesting because I was like, wow. I've never had that reaction before.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't done it in a while, but I think that's also part of getting older. My brain has developed more, it's changed.
And there's like more of these like perceived risks, perceived threats
stuff
around you that you would never have
when
thought.
you were younger, because you're so ignorant, you just don't even realize.
You don't know. Yeah, totally. I actually have a similar memory of like the uni starting that, me feeling like super nervous. I could think back to at school, especially like I remember it must have been like year 9 maybe, and I used to love when they asked us to do speeches and monologues. I used to love it. I remember we had to do like a Romeo and Juliet one, and I went the hardest out of everyone. I wore a dress, I had a rose, I was picking petals, I was throwing them, I was like being so theatrical. And I remember doing that, and that's in front of a class of like 30 people.
Does someone have a video?
I wish. But yeah, it was like awesome. Like if I remember that feeling, I was like no fear. I wasn't worried about. I thought it was fantastic what I was doing, and then stepping into like teaching a group of 15 students about stuff I definitely know, I was like, no. Same thing. So it's weird how it changes, and it doesn't take that long for it to change once you start to get a little bit older.
Yeah, I think it's much easier to do that when you have a reference point.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't know, I used to be like really scared about getting embarrassed in certain situations as I got older.
Yeah.
Like some people would tell stories, embarrassing stories, and then would be like, oh, I could never do that. And I remember listening to Leighton one day, if people know Leighton Paget, and I was like, this...
He actually made a small appearance in my other video. He's the one that said hi in the Brock video. Yeah, go on.
And I was like, how does he do this so effortlessly? Like, I wish I could do that. And I feel like as I've gotten older, I've tried to embody that and be like, damn, I want to be like someone like that. Because when you are so, I guess, chill or laid back, you seem cooler and, all that things. And obviously that's something that you want to be, or that's someone that I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's helped to have a reference point, role model, whatever you want to call it, yeah.
Do you remember what it was that you saw, or like what trait that you actually saw him doing that made you think, oh, that?
Yeah. I won't share the story, but he was telling a pretty embarrassing story. And I was like, wow, I would like never say that. Not even if someone had a gun. I would not say that. But he was saying it so, I was like, wow, that's crazy. I kind of want to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
That's really cool when you have those moments where you're like, how are they not like so embarrassed?
Yeah.
Like you project what you feel onto them, and then you're like, oh, no one really cared that it was like.
So I feel like I do that with you now. I just kind of say whatever.
Yeah, we do. We do have that kind of. I think I do find myself TMIing often. So yeah, I hope that's made you feel comfortable to do the same.
Yeah, because I feel like I do the same. Yeah,
cool.
That's good.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good place to end it off.
Yeah, that's
Sorry,
good.
I'm happy with that. Is there anything you want to add to wrap it up? Is there anything you want to touch on that you thought was really important?
I guess just all the stuff we spoke about.
Yeah.
But the main things that I realized about myself is changing from a mindset of fearlessness to bravery.
Yeah.
And then I really do like if you can't overcome the fear, do it scared.
Yeah.
That one's more applicable to confessing to your crush. That's probably somewhere where there's no like safety concerns. Just do it.
Yeah,
You'll be
true.
fine.
True.
It comes up a lot more. So yeah, I think that's really good.
Yeah, actually, when you said that, Will Smith, it was like, yeah, this is a Will Smith quote. I remember the first time I saw a quote, it's almost the exact same. It was, I was doing canyoning in the Blue Mountains.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah, it was so cool. And there's a poster on the wall of like this guy rock climbing, and it's like, feel the fear and do it anyway. And I was like, that's it, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good. We'll end there. That was awesome.
Yeah, perfect.
Well, thank you so much for
You're welcome.
coming in.
Thank you for inviting me.
No, it was great. It was such a good chat. Would you like to catch everyone on the flip side?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks,
Catch you on the
man.
flip side.
See ya. Bye.